Welcome to this week's episode of the We Need the Roads podcast, and there's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? Well, is there, David?
I don't know.
The bit where Doc Brown says about why are things heavy all the time, is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull in the future? Did you literally forget it was a Back to the Future quote?
Right. I'm with you. I did think what you were doing. I was trying to... of course, no, you have a thing. No, I get it.
Please don't inflict your thing on the listeners.
It's time for my thing, right? No, because I've been trying to tell everybody about the benefits of eating dried grapes. And I thought the podcast would be the best place to do it. It's all about raising awareness.
No. Oh my God.
Raising awareness.
Well, after that...
You got Natasha to blame for that one.
Well, after that, I mean, what we do have for you this week is... No.
I got
How was it a cheap laugh? I didn't laugh. I groaned like someone being stabbed in the side. If anyone laughed at that when you hear this, please tweet us and let us know, just so that David can go, yeah, he told you one person laughed. I mean, that's not a high bar, people. One person had just had to find that funny. That's what David will judge as success. Right, well, after that... in fact, you will have something very in common, David, with one of the films I'm going to be reviewing later today, in that it contains terrible, terrible dad jokes.
Can you memorise any of them?
Oh, no, because there would be spoilers. What we do have for you this week is our reactions to the new trailers for Dune and Ghostbusters Afterlife that have dropped recently. We question, is it ever right to ask for your money back at the end of a bad film, regardless if you're a well-known celebrity or not? And spoiler, it's not. And in our What We've Been Watching section, I'm going to be doing reviews, non-spoiler reviews, of The Suicide Squad and Jungle Cruise. And David, I believe you're going to be talking about Jeremy Clarkson's Farm show on Amazon.
Yeah, touched upon it recently. Finished it. You should watch it now.
And what we are both going to go in on is our verdict on the second series of Netflix's The Movies That Made Us. That features two of our all-time favourite films, mine in Back to the Future and David's in Jurassic Park. But first, news. But before our trailer thoughts, here are some news stories culled from this week on the internet. So first of all, we are all extremely pissed off that The Green Knight was pulled from UK screens this week because it was due out August 6th. And it's been scheduled and came out the 30th of July in America. Now, apparently one of the rumours it was delayed was because of rising COVID cases as we recorded this. Of course, as we recorded this in our past week, we've had falling cases for about the last week now. So by the time this airs, who knows? But The Green Knight is from writer director David Lowery and stars Dev Patel as a titular knight. Now, early reviews from the States have been wildly positive, and it seems we might have a really kind of boldly uncommercial art film disguised as a swashbuckling blockbuster. So, hopefully, we are going to get this film out soon, and it's not going to be spoiled by everyone in the States telling us about it. From the trailer, it does look absolutely bonkers in a good way, and David, it has a talking fox.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's really fucking annoying. Why is there no communication on when it is going to come out?
Well, there's no official reason either.
There's nothing. What, like... You know what? It's only going to increase illegal downloads in the UK. If it's out in America, people can just go online, download it, and it's just going to increase that. It's going to lose money.
Well, I think actually in America, it's out in the cinemas and not on streaming.
But everyone knows once that's happened, you can just download it, right? So
yeah, well, we clearly do not.
We're not advocating for it.
Exactly, obviously. We will not advocate.
Spend your money where it needs to be spent. But
on films like The Green Knight,
if you're not, like, and you're not telling anybody about it, if you want to see it, people are just going to be like, oh, fuck it, I can just, it is really frustrating me because I do get annoyed at people that only like download movies, and
I am interested to see what the audience general reaction is. Like critically, it's been through the roof, and people in our kind of our Twitter sphere who like love films have been massively positive about it from the States. But I don't know if it's going to have that major crossover appeal. Because they said it's quite a slow pace. It's essentially just Dev Patel on an epic quest with loads of weird stuff going on, which I'm totally there for.
Yeah, 100%. It's. Have you seen both like the two trailers?
Yeah,
yeah. The ones, and you can sort of put them two together to kind of make scenes almost.
I mean, what I liked is when I had to tell you that's supposed to be the round table, and you went,
I didn't get. Yeah. I did not get that it was an Arthur a legend.
Arthurian legend.
Yeah. I didn't get that, but now that you told me about it, and I went away and read about it, but I didn't get that was the round table or any of that. That was even King Arthur. No, not at all. From the trailer. Maybe that's because I'm stupid.
Anyway, from the Green Knight to Black Widow, and the Black Widow is taking a hit out on Mickey.
Can't take out on Mickey?
Yep, Scarlett Johansson...
Mickey's untouchable.
Yeah, Mickey's got a trained assassin after him now, because, Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney for a breach of contract / lost earnings over the mixed hybrid release of Black Widow. Because apparently there was nothing in her contract about a streaming release, and that means Disney are in breach of contract in her eyes. Now, I'm assuming, like most big actors, a sizable portion of Johansson's earnings would have been tied to box office receipts, and of course, with Black Widow doing $60 million in its first week just from streaming, Johansson definitely has a point. However, how much
she's claiming she wants 50 million, right? She's saying she's lost 50 million in potential earnings.
How much do we really care, though, about a multi-millionaire actor suing one of the largest corporations in the world? Well, I mean, not too much if you gauge the internet's reaction. You can argue it from Disney's point of view, they had to make money back any way they could, and releasing it on streaming for a film that's been sat on a shelf for a year was a way to do that. From Johansson's point of view, it's simply a contract matter. Your contract states this, the terms of that contract were not met by Disney in her opinion, and now her lawyers obviously, and she finds him in breach. I mean, I wonder how long this has been going on behind the scenes, and now the story has only just come out because they've not been able to reach an agreement. I mean, it's a good thing she's dead, right? The character, not, Scarlett Johansson. Not saying that Disney would, sanction such things.
It was basically all about, she said that she was told the film would be theatrically released and solely theatrically released, whereas Disney released it both in cinemas and on their streaming service, and it was through the sales of her streaming service that she lost she lost her contractual money that she could have made, her earnings,
which is understandable to a point.
That's the crux of it, right? So she's annoyed that that's happened, and Disney are probably saying that they haven't broken it because they did release it in the theaters.
Yeah, it's a big grey area, but I think what's turned this one up a couple of degrees is that Disney released a retaliatory statement calling her callous, and that in a post-COVID world, we've had to lay off staff left, right and centre. We did get you your money that you were guaranteed, and blah, 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 blah. I mean...
Yeah, in going into anything like that, you're going to get backlash from people who are going to know their stuff. They're going to do their research. They're going to see how much these people are earning, what bonuses they're getting. Yeah, and just think, well, why couldn't you have cut this, and this, and you could have saved this person's job?
Yeah, how many theme park workers and cast members and the various productions around the world were laid off or just outright got no money during the pandemic? But I bet those studio executives still got their money, didn't they? So, in a way, I'm actually more or less on Johansson's side on this one. You agree a contract. If you don't stick to the terms of the contract, or you don't negotiate to a satisfactory level, which is clearly what's not happened here, amendments to that contract because of the situation, then I'm sorry, Disney, you are in breach of your contract, I'm guessing. And
I mean, yeah, we don't know the ins and outs of it.
We don't.
So but to err on the side of caution, we don't know the ins and outs of this contract. This is literally just what we're seeing online. Yeah, but from the outset of it, it looks like Johansson's got a case, and it'll probably get settled out of court.
I mean, anyway. We did mention before we started recording that obviously this is a new situation, because you mentioned, well, do you know any cases where a big actor sued a studio? But there's never been a specific reason about lost earnings due to streaming releases versus box office, because when COVID happened, that's exactly the... I'm guessing these deals were in place way before that. So
yeah, there's a few cases where there weren't paid royalties or something like that. For instance, Harry Shearer said that they weren't paid royalties in the Spinal Tap. Sylvester Stallone sued Warner Brothers for Demolition Man, claiming he was stiffed on profits. Mel Gibson in 2017 for The Professor and The Madman, claiming breached contracts.
I just sue Mel Gibson on principle. I'm on the studio side. I'm on the studio side in a Mel Gibson one. I'm sorry.
It must happen. I think it probably happens more often than is reported.
Exactly, but
because of the size of the company, because it's Johansson, because it's Disney, and because it's the character as well that everyone's fallen in love with. That's probably why it's been maybe widely reported more than others.
Well, and also because of the really bizarre statement they put out, just basically calling her callous. That's just a bit, that's an interesting thing there.
Not great wording there. From not the best response.
Not from the big, massive corporation who's, like you say, done some dodgy things themselves.
Not the best response from a company which you think how many steps that response must have gone through before being released.
Or do you think Mickey just sat there and went, fuck her, send, and hit the button?
Yeah. Hey, Donald, get a load of this.
Black Widow, my ass. Boom. Push it.
That'll show.
Apparently, rumours are going around that also Emma Stone and Emily Blunt for Cruella and Jungle Cruise, respectively, are both looking at their options regarding their contract deals, because both of these big films that they've both been in recently have also been put on Disney Plus, as well as cinema releases. So I'm guessing, if this has happened with Scarlett Johansson's deal, which was clearly probably in place way before because of her non-association with Marvel.
I'm assuming she gets a new contract per thing. It
can't
be the same.
No.
This is a solo film as well, so she must have had a new contract.
Oh yeah, there's no way she got
no
way she got 20 million for appearances in the other Avengers films, man. There's no way.
Yeah.
But the fact that Emma
Stone...
She
was highly paid, though. Wasn't she the highly paid actress ever last year?
But the fact that Emma Stone and Emily Blunt are both looking at their legal options in regard to this, I think what will happen is there'll be so many more cases like snowball from this. And what will happen is the studios will just have to come up with a new contract for everyone that's agreed, like arbitrated by all the agents or lawyers and blah, 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 blah. So that there is a deal that, right, you get this much from streaming, you get this much from cinema releases. The same thing's rumbling on right now with Spotify and how artists are claiming they're not getting next to shit from Spotify subscriptions versus what they would make on people buying CDs. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, and we go from some terrible behaviour by a big corporation to some terrible behaviour by a guy who likes getting his knob out. Yep, we're talking about you, John Barrowman. So John Barrowman is a dick. And so the story that he...
And likes to get one out as well.
Likes to get it out. Put it on people's shoulders.
Do the helicopter. Anyway.
So the story this week was that he must have been inebriated in some way because he posted a video online after seeing M. Night Shyamalan's Old, repeatedly called it shite, demanded his money back, made a big deal of getting his money back, and then tagged Shyamalan in the fucking post as well. Fucking hell, if anyone saw Shark Attack 3 Megalodon from 2002, starring Barrowman, I think you all might have a case for a refund as well. Jesus.
Has Shyamalan said anything back? Has
there
been any response from him?
Why would he?
No, yeah. Man, it's classy.
Yeah.
Like it.
No matter what you think of his films, the man is a top-tier professional, and is viewed that way in the industry. There's no way he's going to... he's going to get in a slanging match with Barrowman, who's a fucking B-list actor at best, on Twitter.
I don't know. Maybe should have sent him his what... £10 ticket back. How much is it to go and see a film these days? I can't. It's been so long.
But here's the thing, right? As we've said, it's absolutely shithouse behaviour because you are an actor in the same industry, and one of my first thoughts was, do you know what? This could embolden more dickheads to ask for their money back and cause more shit for cinema workers who have enough shit to deal with at the minute anyway. You worked in a cinema, David. Did anyone ever try this?
Yeah. You had people try and get their money back. So I can't remember for the specific films, but you had it. It wasn't often, to be honest. It wasn't something that happened, daily. Sucks. It was maybe like one every 2 weeks for myself. Someone would try it. A lot of the times, you just sort of give it to them. But so what we were told was, if the film was longer than 20 minutes in, then they could, and they came out and wanted their money back, you couldn't give it to them because the film had been on for 20 minutes. That's you've seen enough of the film to warrant
to make a decision.
Not having your money back because you've still seen the film and paid for it, whatever. But if it's 20 minutes before and you've got to leave, let's say there's something's gone on or whatever, there's an emergency, whatever reason why you want to get your money back. But if you didn't like it, even, and it was 20 minutes beforehand, we'd give you your money back. That was the thing. We're going back over 10 years.
So if people come out after around the 20-minute mark, they got their money back. What about if people come back at the end of the film and enjoyed it?
No? Yeah, they wouldn't get their money back. No, they wouldn't get that back.
Interesting.
Did Barrowman get his money back?
He said he did.
Did he get his £11 or whatever it was? Just sit on it.
Does he not understand? That's not how cinemas work. You don't get your money back if you don't like the film at the end. The staff probably did it because he was being a rude twat, and it was just easier to get rid of him than cause a big scene. And they probably didn't expect him to go on Twitter and post about it and be like, "Oh, and I did get my money back." You dick, how much do cinemas need the money at the minute, and you ask for your money back? Like we said, you don't get your money back after a gig if the band was shit that night, or if you go and see a play and the main actor's out. Yeah,
if you go and see one of Barrowman, he's massive in theatre, isn't he? You go see one of his shows, Be like, you know what, Barrowman was really shit. I want my money back. You wouldn't do it, would you?
I think a few people might now.
I'm going to try and balance the argument a bit and say, well, in what situations would you maybe do this? Maybe if you got given food, you went to a restaurant and you were given a really shit dinner.
Yeah, food's a different issue.
You'd get your money back for that food because it was, poorly cooked or whatever.
But again, like working in the fast food industry as a teenager, I remember someone would come in and they go, "Oh, my burger was cold. It tasted like shit," and there'd be like one tiny bite left. Depending on what manager was working, you could say, "Well, did it take you more than one bite to figure that out? We can't refund you, or so it took you like 3/4 of the burger to realise it was cold, then did it?"
Yeah. I mean, I've always been that sort of person that even if I disliked my food, I wouldn't ask for my money back. But there are, it happens, and it's fine to happen as well. So it's
if you're in the right kind of restaurant. I mean, I remember took my parents. It was my Mother's Day. Took my parents out for dinner, and the restaurant cocked up the order. They gave our starters to someone else. They couldn't guarantee that there would be like my mum's allergic to mushrooms, and they almost fucked that up. And then we had to wait ages. My old man's diabetic, and we've been sitting there waiting ages for the food. So he said, "Look, can I just get a fucking bread roll or something?" And they just kept fucking up and fucking up and fucking up. Well, but it was the way we did it. It was like, guys, come on, you completely ruined Mother's Day.
You can argue that...
You've got to do it politely in the right way, yeah? If you're going to make a complaint, you don't... And I'm sure he... Fucking
didn't do it
Barrowman
way,
walking out.
Most likely.
That film was shite. Fucking blah, 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 blah. I want my money back.
I mean, to be honest, Barrowman would have not have done with the poor publicity, because his,
After Knobgate earlier in the year.
He could have, not have maybe done something positive instead at the end of everything and not negative.
I mean, I think you only get your money back in a cinema, right? Like from what you said, or if there is a technical issue that stops a performance, like...
Yeah, you get your money back then. Yeah, let's say, for instance, there was a power cut. You get your money back, of course.
I saw 28 Days Later on Halloween, and there was a power cut in the cinema about 25 minutes into it, and they couldn't get the power back, and so we all had to leave. That was awesome and terrible at the same time, because I wanted to see the rest of the film, but being in a cinema when 28 Days Later is on, and, he's going up the stairs to Ray Winston's apartment, and then the fucking power goes... more than a few people probably peed a little in that point in the cinema.
Yeah, no, it did happen in the cinema. Yeah, not very frequently. I hope it doesn't happen more frequently for them now, because people have seen Barrowman and been like, oh, it can be done. Oh, they gave it to John Barrowman. Did he specify what cinema chain it was?
Thankfully.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But from what you said, I think I'm pretty sure that cinemas, they'll probably just put a bit of small print on the website covering the tickets if it's not there already. And I'm sure it's there in a small print already. Or
I'm pretty sure it's already there, yeah.
There
was definitely the 20-minute rule.
Yeah.
That 20-minute rule, even that's a bit of a grey area, because I'm pretty sure you get 20 minutes of adverts before the film even starts.
I suppose if you're polite enough when you come out and say, well, you were 20 minutes ago, yeah, but that was 20 minutes of adverts, not 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's how you are with the staff, right? And it's always like the staff discretion on those type of things. So I always think if someone's complaining but they're being polite, I'm more, and from a customer service background in the day, you're always more liable to be, okay, fair enough, we'll listen to your complaint properly. If someone's being rude and abusive, then my go-to mood is, I suppose it could be, I'll give you what you want to get you out of here as quickly as possible. But at the same time, part of me will be like, fuck you, no. So it just depends on the kind of day I'd be having on my response. But in summation, John Barrowman, stop being a twat, pretty much. The dickish thing would be to tag him in what we've just said. But we won't do that because we're not twats, like John Barrowman. So, next up, it's our trailer extravaganza. And first up is the new stunning Dune trailer from Denis Villeneuve. And it's his adaptation of the classic Frank Herbert novel. Now, this is probably my most anticipated film of the whole year, last year, and now this year, because it fucking got delayed again. I'd only recently gotten around to reading the first book a year or two back, and it definitely lived up to the hype. And you can also see where George Lucas nicked a fair few of his ideas from Star Wars from. I mean, there is a scene where an insect assassin droid tries to kill Padme in Attack of the Clones that is lifted right from Dune. After reading the book, I then watched David Lynch's 1985 adaptation, and the nicest thing I can say about that film, David, is it's a film that exists.
It happened.
Because seriously...
And then we'll leave it there.
It's fucking terrible. Now look, I know the film has a loyal cult following online, But at the time, if you're a major studio, you don't put David Lynch in charge of a film you want to be the new Star Wars. I mean, it's got Sting in it, the musician, not the wrestler, fighting Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks, Carl McLachlan, in a fucking loincloth. It was a mess. But now we have Denis Villeneuve's version of what we hope is going to be at least the first three quarters of the first book. At the minute, you cannot ask for a director on a better hot streak. In my opinion, the man is yet to make a bad film, from Prisoners to Sicario to Arrival to Blade Runner 2049. And I think we've already mentioned in previous podcasts the ridiculously stacked cast this film has. I mean, if you've got Aquaman and Thanos training you, then Timothée Chalamet's Paul Atreides should be one of the baddest motherfuckers we've ever seen on film. So, what did you think of the trailer, David? As someone who knew next to nothing about the film, what was your first impressions?
Yeah, it looks visually stunning. It just everything. I mean, you can see like how he's done I take with you can see why he was chosen with what he did with Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival, and then this is it like the spice in the air, the that shot where there's a I don't know what it is, like it's some ship. There's a sandstorm and it looks stunning. I mean, I think it's got the potential to be the biggest film of the year. Take the most of the year as well. So the highest earning grossing film of the year.
A little bit on you mentioned the amazing sort of Lawrence of Arabia style desert cinematography.
Yes.
And it has actually been filmed by a guy called Greg Fraser, who's an Aussie. And looking through his IMDb, his first kind of big film was he done Rogue One.
Okay. So
Rogue One was visually stunning, and then he's gone on to do 3 episodes of The Mandalorian, Dune.
Okay, so it's all positive stuff.
Oh, well, and his next film, because obviously Dune's been wrapped for a while, he's been currently the DOP on The Batman. So yeah, definitely a guy to watch, man. Because like I say, he did Zero Dark 30 as well. Yep, definitely a shit hot cinematographer we got there.
I started reading the book. I'm 100 pages in to the book.
And you said you're a slow reader, so that's clearly gripping you and getting you into it then, man.
Yeah. I want to get it finished before the film comes out, which I should do. I'm on a good course to do that, yeah. And just, I don't know, when you said it's maybe the first 3 quarters, I mean, I'm only 100 pages into the book, but I can't see how the first 100 pages film more than 20 minutes worth of screen time.
It's quite an epic book, and one of the problems with the Lynch original was that it didn't tell, if I remember rightly, it didn't tell the whole story. It got to a certain point and then just stopped. And again, the original plan for this film was there to be 2 films, a part 1 and a part 2. But I don't know how much of was been filmed for the second film, or whether they've tried to amalgamate it into just one epic 3-hour film now. I don't know what the cut-off point for the book was, whether they complete the book and condensed it down to tell the story in one film, or if they're still aiming to end it on a cliffhanger and then do Dune Part 2 in a year or two's time. I think with production having been shut down because of COVID and all that, and this past year, getting that all back together again would be quite a thing. And that's the kind of worry for a film that has cost so much money and it's so epic in scale, and just getting that cast back together again is going to be a logistical nightmare. This film would have to take an absolute shit ton of money for that second part of the story and hopefully to be told. I mean, there's an ongoing series of Dune books written by Herbert's son that have been going, and apparently they've varied quality. Some stuff's brilliant, some stuff's a bit off. I think there's going to be a HBO spin-off show that's going to be dealing with the Bene Gesserit. So, David, this film basically has...
the Sisterhood.
Yeah,
the Sisterhood.
That's it.
Dune, the Sisterhood.
So, basically, David, you've got space witches.
Yeah.
Which, very similar in idea to the Wheel of Time's Aes Sedai.
Yeah, you mentioned this. I haven't... I'm not far enough into the book, I guess, to really get all the similarities that you've mentioned. But I can see how you can draw comparisons between the two already.
If you Google Bene Gesserit versus Aes Sedai, there's a whole list of pros and cons when they're similar and when they're not. It's all over.
Yeah, Google. I don't want to spoil it for myself, so I won't do that.
Fair enough.
But...
Going into someone who didn't really know much about Dune, I think the simplest way to sell this to people is it's epic sci-fi, right? Think a sci-fi Lord of the Rings, and it's a big epic
that's what I was
tale.
hoping it would be. Like I hope it is as big as Lord of the Rings and opens up the sci-fi world to make more like the Lord of the Rings did with fantasy.
That would be awesome, man. I mean, I think another way they can easily sell it is it's Star Wars meets Game of Thrones.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Sci-fi. There's been more sci-fi adaptations than fantasy adaptation.
Oh yeah, definitely, because of Star Wars.
Yeah, because Star Wars. Yeah,
you know, superhero.
Why has it taken so long for Dune to be adapted again?
As you said, there wasn't a lot. You said what you've read already in the first 100 pages probably convinced down, but there's a lot of internal monologue in the book, isn't there? There's a lot of
yeah.
So I think in the past they had issues with adapting it. I remember quite a few times people said it's unadaptable, it's unfilmable, it can't be done. And you know, Lynch's version only kind of backed that up. And then they did, I think the Sci-Fi Channel done like a shitty low budget miniseries version a few years ago, which fans of the book apparently said was a bit more slavish to the book. I just think I invented a new word there. A bit more tied to the book, shall we say. And it starred a young James McAvoy playing the main role. But I haven't seen it, and I don't really want to waste 6 to 9 hours of my life watching it, to be fair. If it's not going to be that good. But yeah, so the basic plot is, it's kind of like that Game of Thrones thing, where you've got House Atreides, the Atreides family, and they are set to take over the running of the planet Arrakis from the evil Harkonnens. But they are pretty much set up to fail from the start. On the hero's side, you've got Duke Leto, played by Oscar Isaac, and his son, Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet, with his concubine, and I'm not quite sure how she's referred to in the film yet, played by Rebecca Ferguson. So I'm not quite sure how they're gonna. Is she just gonna be his wife in the film? They haven't really kind of made that obvious from what we've seen of it so far.
She's not his wife in the book. From what I know, yeah, she's literally. They are everything but married. Lady Jessica.
Intergalactic fuck buddy, I believe is the term.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Space floozy is another one.
One thing from the trailer that I don't know if worry is the word, based off what I want the film to be. I don't want it to have too much comedic relief. And there's that one moment where Duncan Idaho, Jason Momoa's character, goes to Paul and is like, "Hey, have you been working out? You're looking big." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "No." Yeah, I just hope that there's not those sort of silly light moments throughout, or if it is done, it's done well, like in The Lord of the Rings with Pippin's character, where it's almost seamless into the film.
I don't think you really got too much to worry about there. I know a lot of people online saw that joke and then...
because that felt very Marvel, almost. You know how Marvel's jokes are sort of just very on the nose, very obvious.
Yeah, but the thing is, Marvel would put about 8 of these jokes in one trailer. You got maybe 2 jokes in this trailer. There's that one, and there's a bit where Oscar Isaac says to Brolin seconds later, "Smile, Gurney." He's like, "I am smiling."
I am smiling. Yeah.
As you go through the book, and I think they needed those 2 brief points, because a lot of dark shit happens in the book, man, and it's quite hard going. Not hard going, but it's not like this kind of swashbuckling Avenger thing. It's proper hard sci-fi, man, with big themes and.
Yeah. It's got 4 appendixes. Like at the back of the book, there's an appendix for the culture and the religion of Arrakis. There's one for the Bene Gesserit, or however you pronounced it. There's another one for like the house, the whole freaking house system and hierarchical system of the Emperor, and where the Duke and where the Harkonians are in it. There's fucking loads.
so like you said, it is like a sci-fi Lord of the Rings in that sense. With the world building is amazing in it. I think what you said about going back to what you said about the trailer and the comedy. I think that's been done because, as I said, the stakes on this film are massive. It does need to be really successful for them to finish telling the story. And so this trailer, as much as I like it, and I love the trailer. To me, it is almost a perfect trailer because it's got a little bit of everything in it.
They want to appeal to all audiences.
Exactly, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to appeal to everything. If people were gone, "Oh, it's a boring, serious sci-fi film," I mean, it's not going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. Absolutely no chance. But you might get some fans of that who go, "Oh, look, it's got Aquaman and Thanos in it. Yeah, I'll go and see it," and then they'll be blown away and wowed by it. Hopefully, I really can't see how this film can fail. I mean, it's a massive, big-budget, galaxy-spanning sci-fi epic. And it's going to be an event movie. It's going to be akin to like Lord of the Rings, Avatar. It's going to kind of have that spectacle and, "Oh, that's a film we got to see in the cinema" thing to it. It's got a rabid fan base, and I think you'll see that from the ongoing series of books. I like everyone said about Lord of the Rings' success was down to fans of Tolkien in the book. You've got that exact same kind of fan base behind Herbert.
Yeah, very hardcore
Exactly.
fantasy sci-fi. Yeah,
if it even comes close to half delivering on the book, from what we've seen on the previous versions, the fans will be happy with it. And they will demand that the next film is made in the series. Also, you've got the two young leads in Chalamet and Zendaya playing Shani as well, by playing Paul and Shani. And that will bring you in a younger audience who might not usually be a fan of this type of material. You know, your typical teen moviegoer. It's like, oh, it looks like a boring sci-fi movie. Oh, shit, it's got Timothée Chalamet in it, though. Oh, and it's got Zendaya in it. That will get them into it. And also, this new trailer, it's actually narrated at the start by Shani, and it sets up that link and potential love story between the two characters. So, love story for
She's not been introduced to me in the book yet.
She doesn't come into it until a little bit later. As well, that VO she does at the start, it sets up quite a nice bit of the story that you've got the indigenous people on the planet Arrakis called the Fremen. Ironically, well, it's, you know, it looks like free men, Fremen. I like the thing. And, you know, they're kind of pawns in this massive battle between the warring intergalactic families, like the Atreides and the Harkonnens. Obviously, we know the Harkonnens are the villains, and you've got Stellan Skarsgård as a main baddie, Baron Harkonnen. And they
couldn't look more villainous if they tried. It was literally like similar to Star Wars, where you've got the Sith. They could not look more like bad guys.
And what was written first, David?
Dune, yeah. It's on the back of it, isn't it? Before The Matrix, before Star Wars, before Ender's Game.
Fucking right, man.
There was Dune.
Also, I can't wait to see Batista in it. Villeneuve used Batista in Blade Runner 2049. He only had one scene in it, but they actually shot a little short film, and because I think Batista's done really well. Obviously, again, people think, oh, Drax, Guardians of the Galaxy, he's the big guy and he's funny, but dude can act properly as well, man. He's a really good actor. Batista.
He's in like everything at the moment.
Yeah,
and that's not just because, you know, he's the big bad guy, or he's a big character. You know, because he's a big actor. No, he's in it because he can fucking act.
I mean, he really impressed us all by the way he played the character in, Army of the Dead. He was expecting to be a gung-ho soldier, and it was more an internal, like
we mentioned in our review of that, the moment where he had to kill his wife.
Yeah,
that was heartbreaking.
And the whole relationship with the daughter, that was played really well in it. It could have been cheesy and shit, but if you haven't seen it, David, go and check it out. There's a Blade Runner 2049 short to do with his character. And it gives all the backstory to his character. And I wish that had been in the film, to be fair, man. But obviously...
on Batista still. I think he's one of my favourite actors that's transitioned from wrestling into acting.
Yeah, I mean, do you go Batista or The Rock? The Rock is the new Arnie, isn't he?
I'd say Batista's a better actor.
Yeah. Same here.
But I'd say... But The Rock's your superstar.
Yeah, The Rock's the new Arnie, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the man. He's a blockbuster. You put him in something, people will watch it.
Whereas Batista, you can put him in anything. I think, you know, he's an actor who...
Yeah, but he won't... I don't think he'll draw people to the film.
No, he's not the name. In fact, he's just been cast in Knives Out 2. So that's going to be awesome, man.
Knives Out 2?
Yeah, Batista's in Knives Out 2,
nice. Man. Okay.
That's got a brilliant cast. I mean, not as big as Dune's cast, but yeah, man.
I mean, the first Knives Out, that fucking amazing cast.
Yeah, well, so is this new one, mate. But we'll do that on our Knives Out 2 discussion on a future one. Getting back to Dune, as we got a little bit sidetracked. Overall, I think the trailer does a great job of showing the epic scale of the film. It showcases some brilliant moments, yet from someone who's read the books, the trailer barely scratches the surface of the film. I mean, so many of the famous lines from the book, like, fear is the mind killer, and he who controls the spice controls the universe, nowhere to be seen in the trailer, man. They're keeping these back, which is great. It doesn't give away the whole film's plot in the trailer either. I mean, it's like, here's some cool shit, here's some great lines, here's some actors you like, go and see the movie.
And there's clearly going to be a battle, because there's a whole battle segment.
Yeah.
So, and conflict.
The still suits, and that's why people have got... Because it was you said, why have they got those things up their noses? Like, dude, it's a still suit. It's how they breathe.
Because I was asking you about it, because I understand it now. And even now, some of when was this written?
1968.
60s, yeah.
68.
So something written in the 60s, to think of a reason, okay, you've got this planet, there's no water on this planet, right, so how are these people going to survive? I know, let's recycle their own moisture into their body again.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Is that even, I mean, that might, obviously it's the fiction side of science, but is that actually even possible?
Well, any world-famous scientists who are listening to the podcast, please do answer David's question, because otherwise you'll have to Google it and not understand the answer on the question, probably.
I probably won't understand the answer given anyway, but I'd like to know.
I don't really want to go into any more further specifics of the trailer and analyse it, because obviously you're 100 pages into Dune now, David, so You want to read it before the film comes out? Get cracking.
Yeah, I'll get it finished. I'll probably get it finished within a couple of weeks.
Well, it's out in October. October 22nd is apparently the release date. Apparently, at the minute, October 22nd is going to be the release date for Dune, Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho, and Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch. So that will just be me in the cinema for 9 hours back to back there that day. I will just live in the cinema that day.
All the same day?
All on the same day, apparently. Not. I know that's definitely in America. I don't know if it's going to be the same over here.
I know where to find you.
Yeah, I'll just
if I need you.
You'll be there probably watching it as well, man. Like, day off work, book it now if it's all confirmed. So, in other trailer news, the new trailer for the also much delayed Ghostbusters Afterlife has dropped. And once again, it was a fucking great trailer that didn't give away the whole film. But, David, it put a smile on my face and goose flesh on my arm. Now,
that's all it needed. Like, did
it
hit you? Did it hit you in the nostalgia? Did it get you?
As the kids say, it got me in the feels. From the previous trailer, we all knew that this was going to be a sequel to Ghostbusters 2 and set in the same world as the original films, and it would have a much younger cast, and it'd be set mainly around a small town. But it also would feature the surviving original cast alongside new additions Paul Rudd, who doesn't age, and Carrie Coon, who not a lot of people know, but she was amazing in The Leftovers, and she actually played Proxima Midnight, where she was the voice for Midnight in Infinity War and Endgame. So there you go, you learn something every day. Now,
sorry, the one with the 2016 one with Melissa McCarthy, is this one just completely ignored that?
They are, from what I gather, this is just that didn't happen. Yeah, they're ignoring it.
Just didn't. Okay, yeah, strict off the timeline.
I will get on to the 2016 film in due course, David, because I have some opinions. But this trailer gives us much more from the first one, but without specifically confirming anything. We do know that Carrie Coon's character, Callie, is a single mum struggling with money problems, and that she has 2 kids, Phoebe and Trevor. And Phoebe, wow, she does look an awful lot like a young girl Egon, doesn't she?
You just shrink her down, and it's yeah.
You mean shrink her up?
Shrink him down. There we go, I got that.
Yeah. We see Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon out at dinner, so I'm guessing Rudd's character could be the kind of new guy on the block, the stepdad kind of role maybe. But we then see Phoebe messing around in the basement of Egon's old house, where they now live there, in a house full of junk and old stuff. I wonder what she's going to find in the basement, David.
I don't know, but why? Wait. What about Paul Rudd? Why do we think he's a stepdad? Why not just a normal dad?
Well, in the things, it said in the official descriptions, I've read it says Callie is a struggling single mum.
Okay,
which makes me think Rudd comes on the scene in the film because of events that occur in the film.
Right, okay. Now it makes sense why
he could be a teacher actually as well, because we see him in the school at one point as well, or a science lab type situation. So my thinking is he might be a scientist as well in it.
But sorry, back to the basement with the jigsaw puzzle and the floorboards, which is a completely normal thing to have in any home.
It is if you're Egon, clearly, you know. But of course, what do we find? Phoebe finds a good old-fashioned ghost trap. Now, as we know, you don't open them, so I'm just speculating here, but I'm guessing a ghost might get out.
She gonna open it, yeah.
She's gonna totally open it. No, I reckon she'll be like, I don't know, and then because we haven't seen enough characterization from the kids yet to know kind of what their personalities really are. We know she's a geeky science girl, which is fine, but Finn Wolfhard, who he's aged about 30 years since we last saw him in Stranger Things.
His voice is broken. It's really peculiar.
Well, that's what happens when people grow up.
I know, but age is... You know what? Yeah, growing old, it's not fun. His voice is broken. He's no longer got the youthful life of a child.
Yeah. I feel really sorry for...
you know what? Next up, he'll be like an old man having to sip his food through a straw.
Well... Cheers, David, for sucking all the joy out of this. But yeah, Annie Potts sighting. And Annie Potts, Janine, from the original, confirming that she and Egon did in fact get it on, and that Carrie Coon's character, Callie, is indeed Egon's daughter. So Egon's grandkids confirmed.
Let's get it on.
Wow, chicka, wow, wow. We see the kids discover and then get Ecto-1 up and running again. You got to have Ecto-1 in it, man. I love the fact it's just,
iconic.
That was the very first teaser trailer for the film, wasn't it? Like about a year before it was even filmed. There was the original music from that dun 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 music from the original film, and then you just see like the cover blow off the bottom bit of Ecto-1 in the barn. I was like, make the film.
But speaking of music, one thing that was missing from this trailer was a very specific music that was...
I don't think they're going to go back to Ghostbusters, man. I mean, it might be on in a radio somewhere in the background or like featured somewhere.
What?
Yeah. I don't think you give that away if it's going to be in the film in the trailer. But so getting into the plot of the film, we learn that the whole town is shaking on a daily basis. And I'm guessing right now that Rudd has got to be some kind of scientist, maybe a seismologist. We also see that something in the town is down the mine, and then what looks like ghosts shoot out of it. And this is very similar to when the containment unit was shut off in the city in the original film, and all the ghosts popped out and started going and flying across everywhere. And then you get that great line that the kid Phoebe delivers, just like Winston's line from the original, when he's saying about maybe it is, the end of times or something like that. And she goes, maybe it's the apocalypse, and turns around really scary, looking like the kid from the Amityville Horror. Then we get a nice little mini montage with the kids watching the old Ghostbusters TV advert on YouTube and finding the old ghost detector machine. We get more from the Stay Puft Minis scene in the supermarket, which just looks amazing.
That just looks the cutest little. They're going to get up. They're going to be little tykes.
Tykes.
Yeah.
Are you from the 1920s?
They're going to get
the little tykes.
They're going to be such shenanigans. These guys. Anyway, sorry.
Tykes and shenanigans. The David Long story. And then we get a shot of what looks like a portal opening up over the mine at night. And again, goes shooting out all over the city. Now, that portal over the mine looks very similar to the portal that opened up over the apartment building in the original Ghostbusters. And the mine, in the very first trailer, not this one, but we see the mine is called the Shandor Mine, which, David, is connected to...
Yeah, so, I had a quick Google of the Shandor, because you mentioned Shandor, and you said it was specific. You reckon there was something specific, and you was correct. There's a character called Ivo Shandor, who is the leader of a cult, a leader of the cult of Gozer.
The Gozerian.
From the Ghostbusters video game. The main antagonist from the Ghostbusters video game. So maybe they're trying to weave connections in with an old video game, or just completely ignore that.
It's a nod to the original as well, because, like I say, Gozer, the Gozerian, is the villain from Ghostbusters 1. I reckon it's going to be something along the lines of Egon spent his days after he retired, tracking down other cult members or that. He could be like a Nazi hunter, but like a ghost hunter. A cult ghost hunter in his old days. And it was dangerous, and that's why he lived in the middle of nowhere in a creepy house. But yeah, I think... You've definitely got strong similarities between the original Ghostbusters with Shandor and the ghosts and that portal, and we've got kind of a similar thing here. I mean, one of the criticisms of the trailer online, which there's always criticisms online, is that, this looks like The Force Awakens. Yeah, but The Force Awakens was really good, I thought, man. It got that nice blend of old and new.
It was terrible, The Force Awakens, but I don't see it being The Force Awakens for it, because The Force Awakens was literally the exact same film, pretty much, as A New Hope. Right? It was almost essentially the exact same story, whereas this doesn't look like it's going to be the exact same story.
I don't know. I think it could be. I think it could be that something unleashes... Something starts causing the ghosts to come up in this small town, connected to the OG Ghostbusters, and then something bigger happens, second act break, and loads of ghosts and evils released all over the town, and that's when the old Ghostbusters come back in it.
So you reckon Gozer's going to get released?
I don't think you'd have maybe the same villain. I think there may be something connected to the cult of Gozer, and Ivo Shandor definitely is going to be connected to the main villains thing for it. But again, linking it back to the first film, there's that shot where you see some demon dog action, where Paul Rudd's getting chased out of a Walmart, and you see that thing kind of thing. That looks just like one of the dogs that Sigourney Weaver or Rick Moranis turned into in the first film.
Yeah.
So again,
you mentioned. I 100% agree. I didn't think of that when I saw
the dog.
You're right.
You've got the Shandor. You've got the portal. You've got a very similar, but I don't mind them doing that. It's exactly in the positive way. That is The Force Awakens. You introduced all the new characters, set up a new storyline, brought in the old characters everyone loved about the halfway point, mixed them all together, and then. Okay, then they did tell the same story in The Force Awakens. But in this one, hopefully, it's more like a sending off for the old cast. But yeah, I mean, I really liked it, man. And of course, we can't not talk about that last bit of the trailer where we see the kids and Rudd watching the Ghostbusters TV ad again, and it looks like they call the number on the screen. And if you freeze frame in the next shot and you see back to front view from the window, that is Ray's Occult Bookshop, which we see in Ghostbusters 2. And who answers the phone? Well, that is most definitely Dan Aykroyd saying, "We're closed," quite rudely.
Yeah, he was
Goosebumps,
quite rude,
David. Goosebumps.
Like I mentioned, if your store's closed, what are you answering the phone for?
Because the camera's on you when it's a film.
Where's the realism, Neil?
It's Ghostbusters. They could do what they want.
I'd say, the cameos in it is going to be fantastic. The one cameo I would love to see is a Rick Moranis cameo. I mean, we literally. When was the last time we saw him in anything? Because he's obviously retired for a long time.
Yeah, well, he did a TV advert, didn't he, with Ryan Reynolds in Canada last year.
Did he really?
Yeah,
okay. I haven't. Yeah.
If you Google,
I genuinely can't remember the last time I saw him. It was probably Honey I Shrunk to Something.
Yeah, Honey I Shrunk to Something. But yeah, generally the reaction's very positive online. Twitter seemed to love it. However, there were some really stupid, shitty comments on Instagram and Facebook. We've already covered the Force Awakens things, but there were some little bitches in their basements. Apparently, women ruined the last film and kids will ruin this one. Ghostbusters were men. I mean, what a crock of shit.
So they're saying you have to have a penis.
I believe you said a hairy penis.
A hairy penis, yeah, yeah, to be a Ghostbuster.
Yeah, apparently so. It was men.
Yeah, if you don't have one, then you know what? Sorry, you ain't a Ghostbuster. Get the fuck out. You got to be able to make fire and cook on the barbecue and stuff.
I mean, women and children first. If you're talking about things the internet doesn't like about Ghostbusters.
So, like anyone that survived the Titanic.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, ironically, the Titanic does arrive at the dock in Ghostbusters 2. So, nice segue, David. And I'm going to try and be brief here because we have to talk about the toxic fandom of the Ghostbusters franchise.
Is it the toxic fandom of the franchise, or is it just toxic people online hiding behind false names and stuff? Like, what is it? Just people, the internet in general, the culture of the internet, and like hiding behind fucking a keyboard. So
let me say, I mean, I'm not a fan of the 2016 film, but here is why. I think Sony themselves were to blame, and the writing, for the clusterfuck that was the last Ghostbusters movie with a female cast. I mean, it had a terrible script, and it just reeked of studio interference, right? Paul Feig at the time was coming off Spy, which for me was his and Melissa McCarthy's best film. That, if you go like that film, had me laughing out loud so many times. It was just fucking hilarious. That was a film that probably raised Statham up a level as well, because Statham was fucking brilliant in that. I mean, the whole cast were brilliant at the time. Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones were killing it on Saturday Night Live every week, and Kristen Wiig was, obviously after Bridesmaids, was doing lots of really cool stuff as well. They, without question, are 4 fucking brilliant comedian actresses. But I just got the feeling that Sony dictated that certain elements had to be included in the script. I'm sure they had a checklist. Right, if you're making Ghostbusters, you must have A, B, C, D, and this ghost. And obviously, when this very first teaser trailer for this come out, it even said, and I posted this on our Twitter a couple of days ago, 30 years ago, 4 scientists saved New York. No, they did not. 3 scientists and Winston, who they hired because they needed extra help. Winston even says, I'll believe in anything if there's a steady paycheck in it. So he literally says that line, man. Winston says that. So if you've got people cutting a trailer for the franchise and they can't even get a little fact like that right, or the fact they go, oh, it's not important, they're a scientist. Well, fuck you, man. That's terrible. I'm sorry. That really annoyed me at the thing. But also, by saying 30 years ago, that means that the 2016 film was supposed to be set in the same timeline as
canon, right? Yeah,
it's supposed to be canon. Except, again, and this is the biggest problem bar the script, was you've got the original Ghostbusters actors turning up in it in cameos. If it's set in the same timeline and it's canon, they should be the same characters cameoing in it. That was the thing that pissed me off most about the film. You have Bill Murray in a little extended cameo as a ghost skeptic on some shitty TV show, and he falls out a window. That was fucking terrible. Dan Aykroyd gets one line as a cab driver, and it's them making fun of I ain't afraid of no ghost line. And I bet someone's like, oh, that's clever. Well, it's a split infinitive. So if we get him to say that actually means he is afraid. Oh, yeah. I get the joke. It's just not funny. Leslie Jones's character, right? That's Ernie Hudson plays Leslie Jones's character's uncle. Why was there no? And he gives her Ecto-1 in the film. Now there is absolutely no reason why he couldn't have just been Winston as her uncle and given her the car. That would have made absolutely no change to the rest of the plot of the film, but it would have tied it a lot more. And the fucking credits, man. Casting Sigourney Dana Barrett Weaver as a scientist who trained Kate McKinnon. No, David. No.
Yeah, you weren't a fan.
No, it's got good. It's got good bits, man. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
You were a hardcore Ghostbusters fan, right? So you're the very similar, a step away from being those people that you were insulting, saying that Ghostbusters have to have hairy penises to be a Ghostbuster, without being that close-minded. But you're that big a fan, right? You're a huge fan of Ghostbusters. So if it's not done and properly with the source, like following on, hitting the nostalgia feels for you perfectly.
Well, that trailer did this.
You're not going to be a fan, and that's the same with this film. So if this film has some beats that don't hit right, it will fall flat for you. But it's giving you hope.
I am. This has definitely jumped up to probably my second or third most anticipated film of the year now, behind Dune.
Third. Dune and
Last Night in Soho.
Okay.
That just looks batshit, and I can't wait to see that one. I think what it is that if you're going to do a sequel, I had no problem with the new cast of characters. I had no problem. It's just it wasn't a funny script. I mean, there are bits of it that are funny, but at best you could say it was okay, But it's Ghostbusters, man. It shouldn't just be okay. It's like what people have said about some of the new Star Wars films. They're okay. It's almost funny that with the internet, you can't just say something's okay. You have to, no, it was the greatest thing ever. Or, no, it raped my childhood. It's one or the other. There's no, middle ground.
You can't just be in the middle. You enjoyed it.
I like some from column A. I didn't like some from
5 years' time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I've watched the 2016 Ghostbusters, 3 times?
Yeah.
And
it's okay to be okay, but you want it to be amazing because it's Ghostbusters.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, I understand.
And I think having Ivan Reitman's son as a director, Jason Reitman, I think that kind of ties it to the legacy. He knows, having grown up, well, as Egon's son, he knows what the fans want. And I think he also knows, from working in the studio system, that I have to do this to please the studio, I have to do this to do the fans. This is what you did wrong, and I think, hopefully at least, Sony have realised their mistakes on the last one, and have left them to get on with it. I mean, there was one line in the trailer that I didn't like, and it's where they go, "Oh, this looks like The Walking Dead." Come on, Ghostbusters, you're better than that. We don't need comparisons with The Walking Dead. There was no zombies in Ghostbusters, so they were just ghosts. And it was those really cool kind of animatic skeleton-looking things in the old days. So, yeah, I'm spent, David. I think we've covered off Ghostbusters enough.
What to watch?
Right, so first up, David, you're going to talk about
Clarkson's Farm. Clarkson's Farm. Is it my time to talk about Clarkson's Farm?
It is indeed.
Clarkson's Farm. Okay, wait. So we mentioned earlier. Okay. So before we start, do you like Jeremy Clarkson? Anything? Top Gear. The Grand Tour. Any of the other stuff that he's done with the guys or in solo?
I'm not really a car guy, so I've not really watched any of that stuff. I don't really have an opinion on him one way or the other because I haven't watched enough of stuff. So
fair
think
enough.
of me as a blank slate in regards to Clarkson.
I think this Clarkson's Farm is probably easily for me the best thing he's done. Better than Top Gear, better than the Grand Tour, better than it's got nothing to do with fucking cars.
That's high praise.
What he does, it is because what he does for farming, and he's taught me a lot about farming and how difficult it is for British farmers at the moment, and he does it in such a fucking funny, comedic way. The characters and other people they're not characters, they're real people, but the people that he gets involved in the show, sort of documenting his year on the farm and what he wants to do. Caleb, who is this 21-year-old young farmer who's just fucking so knowledgeable and skilled farmer. It's just basically his life has been farming. He's never left Chipping Norton, which is where it's based. And, he's opens up to this whole other world. And Gerald, who's a dry stone waller, and you can't understand a fucking word the bloke says.
Does he have subtitles?
It's literally... well, no, he doesn't have subtitles. He talks like old school farmers, and you fucking can't understand a word he's saying. You're trying to it's quite fun actually, just trying to decipher what he is saying because you've not got a fucking clue. A lot of the comedic parts of it are probably quite clearly set up because you're not that fucking stupid, but it's like Top Gear, like how Top Gear and like how the Grand Tour.
Again,
some
I
of the
don't really
comedic
watch them,
elements in
so
that are but they're set up, right? You know that they're set up. It's not like an actual documentary.
Yeah.
But it's all done like as if it is. It's so fucking smart, and at the end of it.
So it's educational and it's funny.
It's educational, fucking 100%. It's hilarious, genuinely probably one of the funniest things I've seen all year. I'm quite late to it as well because this came out a few months ago and my dad made me watch it because my dad's obsessed and he's maybe watched it like 2 or 3 times back now.
So it's basically it's basically the premise of the show. Clarkson goes to work on a farm and...
No, it's his farm.
He owns a farm?
He's owned this farm. Yeah, he's owned this farm since like 2006
right. I didn't know
or something. Yeah, he's had this farm since 2006, but he hasn't been working on it. The bloke that was managing it for him retired last year, and he thought, fuck it, I'll do it, and I'll get an Amazon crew to come and film it for a year. That'll be a show. And fucking hell, was it a show? Brilliant. There's a second season coming, which was announced not that long ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Genuinely, it's fucking brilliant. Just watch one episode, and if you don't enjoy it, then...
Do you know what, David? I'm actually going to watch this. Do you know why?
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with it. It's on the main page. No, right, because with it being summer and not a lot of like good scripted sort of dramas out there, me and my old man have been running out of stuff to watch, and it's very kind of similar show, I suppose, in a way, but probably not with a budget and as much comedy. We got addicted to and binged in the last couple of weeks Big Timber on Netflix. Are you familiar with Big Timber?
No. So, I'm assuming that's about people that go around cutting trees.
Yeah, that's it. That's simply it. It's about a bunch of Canadian guys who own this logging company on Vancouver Island. And there was 10 45-minute episodes. And it's pretty much the same thing happens in each of them. A machine breaks down because they haven't got enough money to repair it. They cut some trees down. They're not doing it fast enough. And something will break. And then it'll need to be repaired again. There'll be a lot of swearing that's beeped out. But I don't know, man. I think for me it's the travel thing. Like, I love Canada, man. So anything that shows you like the Canadian landscape and that, and the main, and so I think I'm going to persuade my old man to watch this.
Yeah, no, definitely, 100%. I think you'll enjoy it. I think your old man will enjoy it as well. It's just even if you're not a big fan of Jeremy Clarkson, I mean, he's the heart and soul of the entire thing. But the Caleb and Gerald and Charlie and some of the other sort of people that are involved in the farm.
Cletus? Is there a Cletus?
There's not a Cletus. His girlfri's in it. I forgot her name.
His girlfriend.
I think the mistakes he makes, the just how they solve it. Some of the basic. It's brilliant.
Don't tell me. You've done a really good job of selling it to me without telling me anything about it, and that's good. It's very well done. So I will watch it.
Genuinely think it's the best thing.
You can ask me about it when we do the next pod because I'll try and get my old man to watch it next week. So
I think there's 8 episodes. 8 episodes are roughly about 50-minute episodes. Yeah.
And I would say to you, watch Big Timber, but I don't think you're going to like it. I wouldn't worry about it. So moving on to a show that we both have, a similar and strong opinion on, David. Netflix's new. I'm almost hesitant to use the word documentary series, The Movies That Made Us Season 2. Yep, a series that details behind-the-scenes stories from 4 of the biggest movies of the 80s and 90s, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Pretty Woman, and Forrest Gump. Dude, it's so shit. I can't stand it. Well, no, it's not too shit. I'm already walking back my criticism, but the fucking voiceover, man. Holy shitballs.
The narration and how it's sort of edited to comedic values. Oh. Yeah, no.
So if we're going to be positive about it, the Back to the Future one, I was like, I have to watch this. Favourite film, podcast influenced by it. And there's some really cool behind-the-scenes stuff. You see the old original footage of Eric Stoltz walking around as Marty McFly. I was like, that's cool. You get behind-the-scenes stories where like, yep, Crispin Glover was really difficult. It's like, I don't think my character will walk through the door. That was really funny. And he's like,
yeah.
Crispin,
I genuinely didn't know how difficult Crispin Glover was to work with.
He's got a reputation, man.
Watching this, I didn't know that, but yeah, wow, okay. And he does sound like a nightmare. They had to build a little box for him to stand in so he doesn't go anywhere. I thought that was some of the information that you get out of it is fantastic.
But here's my question: do you think a lot of these behind-the-scenes clips and interviews and stuff we've seen bar the stuff that was obviously just filmed with the interviews for the Netflix show, is available on the Back to the Future. I've got the Back to the Future.
You could probably find the same interview.
Yeah.
Well, not the same interview, but a different interview saying
but
same information.
the footage, all the footage that they've used is probably from those things.
Yeah,
because it was interesting because there was certain bit they could use audio from the film, but they couldn't use the music from the film. I noticed because I was like, okay, they can use that, and then there was a bits where there's like a theme song that sounds very similar to our theme song from the podcast, which is kind of it's like Back to the Future, but not slightly. But so back to Crispin Glover. There's this great bit when he's telling the story where he's like, I don't think my character would go through the door, and like the producer's like, yeah, but Crispin, you need to go through the door to do the scene, so just go through the fucking door. that is oh yeah, but I just don't think you would. Fucking hell.
The camera's there waiting for him to enter to do this scene. It's going into the diner, wasn't it?
Yeah. But then you've got these great interviews. One of the other story I liked was there was a story about Eric Stoltz, who was the original Marty McFly, and they say how it wasn't working out of him. And they do the table read of the whole film, and then at the end of the table read, they cut to, they say, they gets to it, and Eric Stoltz's like, oh, that's really sad, man. Like, everyone he ever knew's, different. And they're like, it's a comedy, man. It's it's good. His parents, improved. That's, the best life. It's, improved everyone's lives. And he's like, he was just apparently playing it too seriously and, really overthinking it. And it wasn't what they wanted. And they explain all the stuff about how, Jay Fox was really busy and he eventually just came and slept on the way between ferrying between doing Family Ties and ending up on there. But and then you've got these interviews with Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale, the writers and the director of the film. But that fucking voiceover, man. And they keep the constant. You get more into the technical things that annoyed you, man, because
So the narration and how it sort of was trying to rewind and try and create comedy by being like, oh, should we get rid of Eric Stoltz? Yeah. Should we get rid of Eric Stoltz? No, not yet. Okay. They did that 5 times. The same fucking joke. 5 times.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny the first time they did it. So let's do it another 5 times. Anyway, that wasn't the only thing. Just all of that, the entire narration of it, trying to create comedic value through all the sort of editing and just saying sarcastic shit. It was basically have you ever watched Come Dine With Me? It was like the fucking narrator from Come Dine With Me narrating a documentary that you want to learn and actually find out new cool information from. And he's just being a complete dick throughout.
But do you think this was just a Netflix thing to make younger people watch a show about old movies? Because those of us that are older and enjoyed these old movies...
Well, maybe, but the show's called The Movies That Made Us. Which makes me think...
It's tiered towards us.
It's, the people that were old enough to have watched the film in the first place when it came out, or, influenced their life in some way. So it's clearly targeting an audience which is 40 plus.
Yeah. Well, 30 plus.
30 plus, yeah.
So using this hip editing, fast cutting, comedic thing... It doesn't work. I want to see the fucking interview with the guys who wrote Back to the Future. I want more of their stories. I don't want a snarky narrator trying to be funny. Fuck you, snarky narrator.
Like finding out that he only got the job on Romancing the Stone because he was shit and they just wanted someone to do it.
Yeah.
And then that's how, brilliant. But I didn't know that.
That's the biggest annoyance with the show, right? If it was just shit, fine. But it's got really good information and stories about classic films in there. But it's got a really shit aesthetic to it that annoys me and makes me angry. Because if something's just shit, fine. But if something's got great information in it and a good story, and then it's done badly, that annoys me more. Because just do it fucking right. Obviously, with Back to the Future, and its, heavy influence on this podcast, and also, being my number one film of all time, we are going to have to get into it at some point, man, and do a special on Back to the Future. But
100%.
It's going to take some planning. And I've got the 4K box set. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to go through and just inject into my veins and my brain all of the information from that. Because there's a lot of things that I didn't...
Crunch it up and snort it.
Crunch up and snort it. Beautiful. Yeah. So I'm basically we're going to get that all together, and then we're going to go through it in a kind of like a chronological order. We're probably going to do 1, 2, and 3 as separate episodes, or maybe even split it across more. Because I feel if you're going to do this, and not that our name of our podcast and whole reputation's relying on it, but we need to do it right. So what can we say that people who've watch the films, don't know, and haven't researched themselves.
Well, you could just, we could also just talk about stuff that people do know and just reiterate it, our own thoughts on it.
Yeah, well,
For
there's,
instance,
like we
the
said,
whole refrigerator thing and
nuke the fridge.
Atomic bomb,
Which they had to trot that out for fucking Crystal Skull as well, didn't they? By the looks of things.
Drop it somewhere, get the idea in there.
And what was it? What was the car? Was it Mustang that wanted to be the car?
Oh yeah, Ford Mustang.
That's cool, man. Like I didn't know any of that stuff, so I learned stuff watching it, and I also got extremely irritated, dude. I know you said you've only watched the Back to the Future one.
Because literally, I only watched Back to the Future one. I was gonna watch them all. I was actually quite excited for the Jurassic Park one as well, but I'm not. I can't bring myself to watch it because I found the Back to the Future one so infuriating.
Exactly the same thing on the Jurassic Park one, man. There's some brilliant stuff about how there was this whole.
You can't interview fucking Sam Neill and have that voiceover. You can't fucking do it. You can't.
Here's the thing, right? It makes the interviewees look like idiots. You've got legends of the fucking industry there, and some idiot at Netflix has gone, "Oh, but we don't want to do that. We're going to do this." Not quite yet, Sam. I mean, Sam Neill looks like he's just woken up, and that whole thing took about 5 minutes when he said.
Do you know that one worked for? I think the narration worked with Home Alone, the first one. I think it worked with that because Home Alone's that's quite a similar film to what the narration's going. It works with that one.
Yeah, okay.
But fucking Jurassic Park doesn't. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to even go. I don't want to go anywhere near it.
Well, what I can tell you some awesome bits about it then, David, as you haven't watched it and you're going to watch it. So they had a hurricane happen while they were filming the day before they're due to fly out. And so Spielberg...
Spoilers.
Well, spoilers for a behind-the-scenes story.
Spoilers for the behind-the-scenes story, yeah.
Day of a hurricane, when they were supposed to fly back, Spielberg just grabbed a camera crew and went and filmed the waves hitting the beach. And that shot is in the film. There's a really good interplay about... They hired Stan Winston, who was like the king of stop motion and animatronics and special effects and all that kind of stuff. And they started him to work on the dinosaurs. And then... some of the guys there, and I forget the guy's name, he comes up with the CGI T-Rex. And this guy's boss says, "No, we got Stan Winston, what the fuck are you doing? Don't waste your time doing it. Just do what you're told." And he was like, "Fuck you, I'm doing what I want." And he did it. And they had a screening of the effects for like all the executives and Spielberg. And this guy snuck in and stuck his stuff on a monitor as they were walking in. And they were like, "Hey, what's that dinosaur there?" And they ended up melding both together. So Winston did. So some of the stuff's CGI, some of the stuff's obviously practical effects. But again, this guy, they're like, he is a bad boy of the industry. He's like, I was suspended twice at ILM. And you're like, great, but you didn't tell us why. And okay, turning up in a sports car and just walking around like a dick. Tell us more about how you come up with this thing. And he does a little bit later on. But it does that whole thing of, but we're not going to tell you that yet. Previously, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, just. Interview us a guy. You're trying to set him up to be like this legend of the industry, and you're making him look like a dick again. I mean, I was watching it while I was doing other stuff in the background, and I was like, So it was okay to like kind of blend in for the background. But yeah, Netflix, stop. If you're gonna do a documentary about classic films, don't have an annoying fucking voiceover on it. Get someone who actually knows about films. I mean, me and David are available, even though if you listen to this. I feel like, to be fair, I think there's about $1 billion.
I'm already drawing up the contract.
When Netflix do build their new office down in our neck of the woods, we can quite happily pop in for a day and, give you our thoughts on these great films, and you can get rid of that shitty voiceover. And breathe. It's been a ranty podcast today, man. It's been quite ranty.
Yeah, it's been quite ranty.
The stuff that's annoyed us. So from ranty McRanterson, we move on to...
Reviews.
A film, again, one of my most anticipated films of the year, that I got to see yesterday in an actual cinema for the first time in a month with...
I'm so jealous.
5 other people at 11 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to avoid big crowds. Because, having said that, watching this film with a big crowd, but, without the threat of potential infection would have been also amazing because it's one of the funniest, goriest, awesomest films of the year. And that film, my friend, is The Suicide Squad. Yes, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So, we have, and now we're not going to do any spoilers for this, and we've already run through it, so that you were quite happy, David, I didn't spoil anything when we were talking about this before.
No, yeah, I can confirm that there is no spoilers.
Great. Whew. Okay.
He's good, he behaves himself.
Yeah, no spoilers here. So...
I'm really jealous that you got to see it. I've already said that I'm self-isolating, and I couldn't see it.
You have now?
I can't remember if I already mentioned that.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I want to get out of the house.
David was part of the...
I want to see it.
You were part of the pingdemic.
I know, the worst fucking timing when all these awesome films are coming out.
Basic setup of the Suicide Squad is familiar faces from the first film, Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, and Viola Davis's Amanda Waller return for a mission that sends Task Force X, our Suicide Squad, to the fictional South American island of Corto Maltese to stop a military coup and destroy all traces of something called Project Starfish. Now, the very first trailer for the original Suicide Squad film, the David Ayer version, just had people like, oh, that looks brilliant, it was great.
Yep.
And it wasn't. It was terrible. I mean, I saw a midnight screening of it, and even on the way out, I was disappointed. And usually if I stay up to a midnight screening with someone, I'll convince myself that it was worth staying up for, even if the film wasn't great. But when I went to watch it a second time on DVD a few months later, I turned it off after about half an hour. It's not often I do that, man. It's not often that I turn a film off halfway through, even if I've seen it. James Gunn, man, he just gets it, right? You know, I think there was a lot less fuckery with the studio this time. As we all know, James Gunn got briefly fired by Marvel. DC drove the big money truck up to his house and said, James, what do you want to do? Here's Superman. He's like, nah, I want to do Suicide Squad. And they were like, why? And he's like, because I want to do it right. And boy, does he get it right. Now, again, from Guardians, we know that he's good at balancing an ensemble cast, and that's exactly what he does here. It's like the anti-Joss Whedon, you know. That's what Whedon was known for before he became a dick, apparently, or, well, he was being a dick. But James Gunn, he just gets it, man. All the cast in this, especially the returning characters, are better than they've ever been in their roles before. Viola Davis's Amanda Waller, who was a bit po-faced and in the first film, she is much more fun in this. She's an utter shitbag to an extreme degree in this film, and she's just brilliant. She's just such an utter bitch the whole way through the film. Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag, who you couldn't even remember from the first film, who was, yes, the army guy, he's given personality this time. He's actually funny. I was like, oh, look, there is a character lurking within there. Gunn gets that out of him. Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang is still Jai Courtney's best on-screen role in anything he's done. And remember, you weren't that much a fan of Birds of Prey, David. I was, on it.
Yeah, I didn't like the action sequences where you could punch somebody and they'd go fucking 30 metres away. Yeah, it was just silly.
Well, in this film...
Anyway, there was a lot of that film I didn't like anyway.
Yeah. So, in this film, this is what? Her Harley Quinn's third outing now? This is the best Harley Quinn performance Robbie has ever given. And it's done without her arc overshadowing the whole film, as a lot of people had feared when they saw that she was going to be in it. You know, you could almost argue that the first Suicide Squad film, we get a whole prequel with Will Smith. Then we get another prequel with Margot Robbie. And then the film actually fucking starts. In this one, all the characters are balanced great. Everyone gets their scenes. And I think what Gunn does so well is even if a character only has one or two scenes, you get that character's arc. You get why they're there, what their powers are. You get some good character traits and quirks. And then there's resolution, mostly. I mean, for not all of them, because obviously Suicide Squad. The music choices throughout are brilliant. We know Gunn's great with his soundtracks on the Guardians films. And again, the opening title song in this film is literally one of my most listened to tracks on Spotify over the last year. So, for one of my favourite songs to be the opening title music was just perfect as well. Once the title sequence starts, and again, what happens in the opening scenes of the film before you get the titles, it just feeds in perfectly to the titles. Again, when you've seen it, the way the camera zooms in and out and goes all over the place, it's all like CGI camera movements and all that. I don't want to give away the name of the song, because the name of the song itself is almost a spoiler for what happens near the start of the film. So just when that song hits, David, when you see it, you'll be like, I
understand.
You'll understand.
I'll be like, I'll think of you, Neil.
Yeah, and then you'll be like, what other film did I see that song in an end credit sequence a few years ago? Do you know what as well? The pace of this film only lets up. It's like balls to the walls action pretty much the whole way through. You do have a fewer slower dramatic scenes, but you know what? As I've said, those slower dramatic scenes, the characters involved, it gives them more pathos. And
is it
more...
Army of the Dead?
No. I'm not going to tell you.
Damn it.
No. Take from your pick as well. As when we saw the first couple of trailers and we saw King Shark and Weasel, we just knew that the CGI characters in this were going to be awesome as well. And they do steal their scenes, man. I mean, the CGI in this film is great. King Shark, as we know, voiced by Sylvester Stallone. a character that can only kind of say the odd couple of words here or there, he gets a character arc, man, that is just heartwarming and brilliant as well.
Do you know that he's voiced by Sylvester Stallone?
100%, yeah.
Or did they do just like, a Groot and get a massive actor just to voice Groot?
No, it's definitely Sylvester Stallone. But there are two characters, David, who are not mentioned in the trailer that one of them definitely steals a film. And there is a character called Sebastian. And when you see Sebastian, he is probably one of the best characters in the whole film. And I will say no more about Sebastian, except for once you see Sebastian, you will love Sebastian.
Whenever I hear Sebastian, I just think of the crab in The Little Mermaid.
Ah, interesting. Also, Milton. Milton is an unexpected highlight. When you hear Milton mentioned, a whole story about Milton and a discussion about Milton, that, again, Milton and Sebastian, man, not on the trailer, not featured anywhere, in the film, absolutely amazing. And what I will say, from the new additions to the cast, Daniela Melchior's Ratcatcher 2 is the heart of the film. And I think she'll be many people's favourite new character.
Okay, Ratcatcher 2?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
What happened to the first one?
Well, it's not...
The first one wasn't in the first one, was it?
No. And it's not really a spoiler because you don't get to see the scene. So, literally, when you're getting introduced to the team, when they say, that's Ratcatcher 2. Why is she called Ratcatcher 2? Because Ratcatcher 1's dead.
So literally,
that's literally it, mate. Yeah. And literally the same response that I just gave you. But she's just brilliant, man. I don't know. She's like such a. I think it's part performance, part direction. It's just her character's so good, and I say by the end of the film, so many people, she's just such a good character, man. Also, it's super gory. I mean, we saw from the early trailers that, King Shark ripping a guy in half. A lot of the gory moments do seem to involve King Shark, but there's a lot more James Gunn. I mean, how the fuck this film got? I suppose because it's fantastical violence and monsters and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there are so many what the actual fuck moments in the film that at one point you see a couple on a balcony and they say what the actual fuck, which is just brilliant. At the end of the film, stick around because you've got a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is the kind of funny throwaway one, and then the post-credit scene is the one that, they might be going somewhere else after this film. Oh, quick shout out as well for Idris Elba, because again, like I mentioned earlier on, he's played this type of role in a lot of other films before. He's like the soldier, the mercenary, the grizzled veteran. He's the sarcastic, I don't want to be doing this, for fuck's sake, as he says in the trailer. But again, his Bloodsport shows more charisma than Will Smith's Deadshot with less screen time. Because he's just better written, man. It's just a better written and a better performance.
Weren't they both doing it for similar reasons as well? Wasn't Will Smith doing it for a daughter?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was his daughter, yeah. And so it's just I almost, if I remember rightly, that originally they wanted Will Smith to come back as Deadshot. And he's like, nah. And what happened was that they was like, well, should we just make Idris Elba Deadshot? I was like, why don't we just make him a different character? Then if Will Smith does want to come back, if he does really well. So you never know. They potentially, if there was ever going to be a sequel to this, but I don't think it will happen with... I don't think, the studios will...
What you're telling me is Will Smith doesn't make a cameo?
No, there is no Will Smith. You will not be disappointed. I mean, obviously, there are some characters that aren't around for too long, but even the ones that aren't around too long, they get a laugh, man. There is a lot of stuff, like that scene in Deadpool 2, when, was it... his X-Force.
Yeah, I know what you're about.
Where, and it's just, there's a mission and shit just goes wrong horribly. There's very similar bits in this.
Okay, so I think naturally the comparison will be made with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Now, you have just watched the Suicide Squad, so don't let the fact that you've only just seen it sway this answer.
Ooh.
But what did you prefer out of the two? Guardians or the Suicide Squad?
I think I would have to watch Suicide Squad again to make an informed decision on that. Because initial thought, I was going to say Guardians, purely because it introduced a whole bunch of new characters in one go, and was consistent. It was, whereas this one, it kind of had to do a little bit.
The fact that it's tough means it's a good. The Suicide Squad's obviously a fucking.
I would say,
if you're having to think about that,
I would say, if you don't count Nolan's Batman films, this is the best DC film.
Period. Full stop.
Period.
Better than the previous Batman, like Keaton's Batman.
Well, they're not really part of the same thing, are they? I know.
Well, neither's Nolan's ones.
No, but people always go, okay, so if we're just talking about extended DCU films, it's the best one, hands down. It's really, really fucking good. I mean, if I had to give a rating, I'd give it, what would I give it? 4.5 stars. I mean,
yeah.
Having said
give
that,
it a solid 9 nils.
A 9 Neils out of 10 Neils.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music, editing, action, cinematography,
So near
performance.
perfect is basically what you're saying. Because to get 10 stars, it'd have to be pretty perfect.
If there's one thing that you could say off is that, I'm trying to look at negatives now you made me think of that. Perhaps the one negative I can think of is, for some people, the goofiness and the sheer, wait, they're actually going to fight a giant fucking starfish, might be a step too far for some people.
You mentioned the aspect ratio as well.
Yeah, but only because I didn't know. That's purely because I thought that the cinema had screwed up the projection, or they were playing it in the wrong format, or someone had fucked up on the technical thing there. That's what I thought. But apparently, I'll be interested to see if anyone responds to our request on Twitter later, if anyone's got the answer to that. But seeing as this show's going to go out a week after we've asked that question, we'll probably have the answer by now. But yeah, Suicide Squad. Go and see it. It's fucking brilliant. That's pretty much all you need to say, David.
Okay.
Go and see it. Then I believe we are going to do a little mini, although fuck knows how long our mini spoiler podcasts are going to be. But we are going to talk about Suicide Squad in depth, man, once and do a...
Yeah, I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it pretty much the second my isolation ends. Straight up, that's the new one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope they can reattach the limb, David. I hope that's all I...
What?
That was a joke, David.
I hope they can reattach the what?
The limb.
The limb?
I was implying that you had lost a limb.
Oh, that did not work.
Well, it would have if you'd seen Suicide Squad and you all about Arm Fall Off Man.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, from Arm Fall Off Man to well, no, can't make a segue to that one. But it's the other big new release of the week, and that is Disney Plus's and in the cinemas Jungle Cruise, directed by Jaume Collet-Serra. So this is the other big film of the week, and it stars The Rock and Emily Blunt, with able support from Jack Whitehall, Paul Giamatti, and Jesse Plemons. Now, this is based on the theme park ride, and just like Pirates of the Caribbean, it's had generally good reviews, and you know what? I enjoyed it to a point. But let's get into the plot.
Pirates of the Caribbean come out with only generally good reviews.
Pretty good reviews, yeah. I mean, when it first, if I'm remembering back into the dark olden times, I think it was 4-star reviews when it came out originally.
Yeah,
everyone liked it.
Yeah, I think it was widely received.
It was a big hit. Yeah, no, it was a big hit. No. That's why I said
audience reviews were probably better than critical.
That's why I said generally good reviews.
Right. Okay.
Because that means not overwhelmingly everyone loved it, 5-star masterpiece.
But
it did very well, and a lot of people liked it. Hence, generally good. But right. So the basic plot is that Emily Blunt's female adventurer. So think, female Indiana Jones is looking for a magical leaf of life or some other magical MacGuffin that I wasn't really paying that much attention to. And she has to journey to the Amazon, and she wants to find it so that she can use it to cure all illnesses and stuff like that. Because she's a good person. And she's got to get there and get it before some evil Germans, played brilliantly and just absolutely stereotypically by Jesse Plemons, get to it.
So is it very much, like Indiana Jones style Germans?
Totally, man.
It's the Germans or the Russians. It's got to be one of the two. Or the Brits, I guess. We're quite villainous.
Well, except for Emily Blunt's character who's English, so, hero. But yeah, anyway, she has to get there before the evil Germans, and she ends up sailing upriver with The Rock's less than reputable captain, whose name I can't even remember, just purely because he's referred to as Skipper most of the time. And he refers to her as Pants, because she's a woman, but it's olden times, so she should be wearing, a skirt, but she's wearing pants because she's a progressive woman. And so literally their whole relationship is built off at the start of them not liking each other and her calling him Skippy and him calling her Pants. So deep characterization there. Dude,
I can feel it.
Yeah, dude.
I can feel the tension already.
Yeah, the sexual chemistry is just bursting off the screen. Basically,
he went straight to what she was wearing.
Well, do you know what? There's a scene where she has to dive into the water at some point, and usually in the old days of filmmaking, it'd be the scene where she strips down to her undergarments, and The Rock could be perving on her, And
be like, "Ooh, hello."
And
avert your eyes, Mr. Rock.
And even a few years ago, they do the reverse of it, wouldn't they? Where like he would strip off, and there'd be like the shots of the Rock all big and muscly diving in.
I think everyone's seen the Rock with his top off at this point. So,
but equal things and all that, they do that. But they almost make a running joke out of it, where she's got on even more clothes underneath her other clothes, and he's like, "You have more clothes on underneath your other clothes." But basically, man, this is the new Pirates of the Caribbean in almost every way. Because, like you say, it's based on a film park ride. There's a plot line about a curse and people.
Do you see it sparking a new franchise like Pirates of the Caribbean?
It'll be interesting to see how well it does, and whether Emily Blunt will come back after potentially suing Disney as well, because apparently that could be on the table. So I don't know, man. Do you know what? It was perfect. I think it skewers a bit younger. Like, I think if you're a kid, this is your Pirates, right? If you're a youngster, if you're that typical age group now, this is your Jurassic Park, this is your Pirates of the Caribbean, this is that film what the kids are going to watch and go, wow, and just because there's not a lot going on. It's obvious. I mean, the plot's just been written on the back of a cigarette box. There's not a lot to it. They have to travel here to get the magical thing, stop the bad guys from getting the magical thing, and that's essentially it. But the performances are really good. The Rock is always going to be good. Emily Blunt is brilliant in whatever she's in. So, in a way, their performances overcome the script in some ways. And in a way, that's to the negative and positive of the script. Because in a positive way, their performances are great. They do spark, although they kind of hint at them getting together in they don't like each other, so clearly they're going to get together trait that they always see in these films. But I didn't buy it. I didn't think there was enough, like, as I was watching it, like, oh yeah, I want to see them get together. I was like, you just don't like each other. And
was it very much one of those, oh, I'm a woman, and you're a man, and we're in a movie together.
In the middle of nowhere.
We have to get together, because there's no other characters for me to be sexually attracted to other than you, of course. It has to be you.
Well, or her brother, and that'd be weird.
Okay. I take it her brother's
Jack Whitehall.
played by Jack Whitehall. Okay. Is it quite similar to The Mummy?
It's got elements of The Mummy, yes.
With where you've got the comedic. She's the scientist, like, explorer lady, but she needs that man that's big, rough and tough to actually go in there and do the action sequences to get her to the place where she could do all her sciencey and historical stuff. You've got that brother who's the comedic element. Which is exactly the same as The Mummy. Very
much so. But I think this being, a bit more of a more modern take on it, despite being set in olden times.
And for children.
Yeah, and the children. No children.
Yeah.
But obviously her character is a bit more... She's a bit more of the... Because she's not as passive and sciencey as Rachel Weisz's character. Because wasn't it only in the second film, or there was perhaps one scene towards it? I can't remember The Mummy that well now. But she's quite passive for a large bit of the film until she finally has a sword fight with the mummy, doesn't she? If I remember rightly, or is that in the second film?
Yeah, no, she has a sword fight with her in the second film. It's like a little. It's not a sword; they're like little things.
Blunt's character is a lot more get up and go herself from the get go. She's not as passive.
She's not like she don't need no man.
No, she's not the damsel in distress. No. And the opening scene is I can tell you this because it's not really a spoiler. It just sets the plot in motion. The opening scene is Jack Whitehall giving a speech asking this big, if it's university or college, if they can look at their collection because they want to do some research. And he's reading the notes, and obviously Emily Blunt's character wrote it. And they're like, that sounds very familiar. That sounds like something we rejected a month ago. That was written by a woman. And it's
right.
And then as he's doing this, she goes off to just steal the thing, and you get this really cool action scene that they kind of give away a lot of in the trailer. You see the bit with her on the ladder and falling out the window and ending up in the bus and all that kind of stuff. So it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. But they spark really well off on each other, man. I don't believe the chemistry for a potential relationship that they hint at. I think it would have just been better if they played it as is. And as you see it, there's some stuff that is so lifted to from Pirates of the Caribbean that you're watching it thinking they literally have just... when they did probably come up with the ideas for the rides, they had the same basic script and went, right, so this is Jungle Cruise, this is Pirates, right. So this happens here, that happens here, okay, that's bits there. And they were exactly the same thing when they first started out. It's just...
To be fair, with both rides in Disney World, they're very much... You could just make your own fucking story with both of them. There's literally just the element... In Pirates of the Caribbean, it's literally just... There's pirates. Shit goes on around you, but there's no real fucking story of what you're watching. There's the dog with the keys in its mouth. that's in the film.
Oh, see, in this
Stuff
one,
like that.
we have a tiger who's trying to get a arrowhead.
Okay.
A trained tiger. So the tiger's...
Trying to get... I don't think that's in the ride.
No. Well, again,
the...
off pod, before we were getting our shit together, we were going back and he was like, is this bit in the film from the ride?
Yeah, I was going through everything.
And I was like, no, maybe, I don't know. And this is where the film loses me a little bit. When The Rock and Emily Blunt are on screen, and it's some of the quieter scenes and then the comedic scenes, they're brilliant. And some of the action set pieces are good. But some of the big CGI fest action scenes, I got bored in. I didn't care what was happening. I was like, well, we know our main characters are going to get through it, so I don't really care. There was no sense of danger in it. No sense of, oh, is that character coming back? And Pirates did that really well. You wasn't sure which characters were going to make it out in here. This one, you pretty much know what's going to happen as you're watching it. And I'm just like, and I kind of tuned out a little bit in some of in the big action scenes. There was not a lot that really grabbed me from a visual perspective. I wasn't thinking, oh, that's amazing. Again, the quieter scenes when they're on the boat going up the river, that's visually stunning. It looks beautiful. There's all these like little... There's do you know what? I'm actually mixing up my films now, and I can't remember if there was a bit scene with some really CGI looking fish, and whether it's in Suicide Squad or Jungle Cruise, because my brain has melted a little bit. But one of those films has some really cool CGI fish in it, and I can't remember which one it is. But yeah, it's a good film, man. It's like I'd give it like a solid 3.5 stars out of 5, or 7 Neils.
7 Neils.
Maybe
yeah?
6.
Yeah,
6.
Neils.
I'm floating between 6 and 7.
6. Okay.
But I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it for the Mummy comparisons. And I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to give it another crack, and I'm going to give Suicide Squad another crack as well.
Well, I can watch it now, can't I? It's on Disney Plus. I can go watch it right
Basically,
now.
David, this is a new Pirates of the Caribbean in all the best and worst ways. And the one thing that I know you will love about it, and this is where we'll probably end the podcast today, is it's got so many dad jokes. Dad jokes coming out the wazoo.
Yes.
In fact,
Give them to me.
In fact, there is a scene early on.
I'm gonna memorize some for the pod.
Oh, please don't. I already know what gif from the film I'm going to use when you do this jokes on it, when I post this to that pod. There's a scene right in the beginning when he's doing his he's got his regular boatload of passengers and he's taking them up the Amazon, and he's just doing all the jokes, and they're like me. His audience are like me when you do your jokes, David. No one reacts, and a little. No.
Hey Neil. Why could Peter Pan not stop flying? Because he could never land.
Yeah, so there's a little girl who just turns to her mum and is like, "Mum, please make him stop." And then The Rock just looks.
Hey, Neil.
Oh no.
Hey Neil.
Yeah,
Hey Neil. Why couldn't the pirate finish the alphabet?
Why?
Because he got lost at sea.
Oh my god. And on that deflated note, on that terrible pun.
Oh, talking of pirates. Oh, yes. Yeah, why are pirates called pirates?
I don't care.
Because they are.
Great, that's going to be fun to edit, David. You just screaming "ah" into the mic loudly.
Because they are.
And on that sad note, listeners, I'd like to apologise once again for David and his terrible jokes, which a few of you apparently liked, but only a few. And that is all the time we got for on the pod this week. See you next time.